Ah, yes. Once more, into the nerdy breach. And don't worry, I'm on my mother flippin'. Wait. Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Week Monday show. A little bit of different stuff going on today. I want to talk about some fun, nerdy things that are not Marvel, that are not Star Wars, that are not DC. Tons of fun, nerdy things that happen. I want to talk about Dragon Ball Superhero #1 at the domestic box office, and I went and saw that movie and I absolutely loved it, so I want to kind of gush about that. Freaking Game of Thrones, is it back? House of the Dragon premiered last night. I enjoyed the first episode, but there's a lot to get into with regards to not only the episode, but whether or not fans on the whole will accept this show and will forgive HBO for what they did in the final season of the Game of Thrones show. And so I want to get into that and just kind of kick it, talk about some fun, nerdy things. Let's get the week started. I'm pulling into the tower. I'll see you in a second. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, freaking yeah. What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to the stream. Man, it's going to be a good one. Yo, let me know, chat, right away. How was your weekend? How are things? Did you have a good time? Did you have a good weekend? And I do want to say, what the hell? I do want to say that I apologize for no streams on Friday. I took Friday off. There wasn't a lot going on. And I was just like, nah, man, I'd rather like just chill with baby and chill with mama and just kind of kick it, man. So we hung out, watched some Star Wars, and just kind of did our thing. We should be back to regular this week. The only difference moving forward, guys, is that I'm no longer going to do a Nerdvenger stream Mondays. I know that's kind of a bummer, but we'll still do them on Wednesdays, and they're going to be really fun. This week in particular, I have a lot of fun stuff to talk about with you guys on Wednesday, but just to be able to have time to be able to support, like I don't want to leave Elisa hanging completely on Mondays. Nerd Theories still likely to be very long and stuff like that, so I just need to have more time on Monday. So no Nerdvenger stream today. We will still stick them out on Wednesdays, and I still think they're going to be a really, really good time. We'll also have another Prime stream on Friday as well. But man, I just want to tell you guys, I had maybe one of the best, most chill, most fun weekends I have had in a long, long time. I am wondering how you guys are and how the weekend was for you. Turn on the gambling. We'll definitely have gambling again this week on Friday, and if we'll do it. But I don't want to start the week off gambling. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to get everybody gambling in here. Okay. But a couple of things, man. I will just say I had such a fun freaking weekend. And maybe a little bit of that just had to do with hanging out with Liam and all of that. But, went and saw the Dragon Ball superhero movie, and I thought it was fantastic. I'll get into a little blurb about that and just talk about where Dragon Ball is at right now, because it's awesome, man. Things are very, very hyped over there. So that's really, really cool. Got some cool video game time in, chilled, read some comics, did some work, but nothing crazy. And then Sunday, last night, watched House of the Dragon. And I got to this weird place with House of the Dragon. I think it's such an interesting topic to get into because, Game of Thrones, wow, what a situation with that. And maybe, maybe we should just kind of get into it. I mean, how many of you guys, and I will say, we're not going to go like super crazy into spoilers for the show, but I am going to touch on a few things that happen in the episode. So yeah, we'll basically talk spoilers for the show, but let's kind of start with this. What did you guys think of House of the Dragons? If you've seen it, give me your score out of 10. How did you feel about it? Did you like the show? Did you like the first episode? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. What would you score it? What would you rate the first episode? Okay. Damn. Okay. Damn. Okay. Pretty high numbers. Pretty high numbers. I still see some like 7s, you know, but a lot of 8s, a lot of 9s, and a lot of 10s. Yeah. Holy cow. Okay, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let me ask you another question, chat. Just a hard 7. Let me ask you another question, okay? Were you surprised at how much you liked the first episode? Yes or no? Were you surprised? Were you surprised at how much you enjoyed it? Let's ask that question of you. No, yes, no, yes, no. One at a time. One at a time. You know? Okay, we gotta go to the polls. We've got to go to the polls. Pretty Nikki says, I had no expectations. Nikki, did you watch Game of Thrones? I'm just curious. I wonder if that affected your thing. Were you surprised at how much you liked House of Dragons? Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Nerd Theory? Yeah, Nerd Theory should be on. I think Theory might still be in Europe. I'll hit him up later. We've been kind of chatting a little bit, but nothing significant about the show. Look, I'm good to go tonight. I think I'll try to cap it around 3 hours, though, just so that I can like help Elisa out again with the baby and everything. But yeah. Wow. Okay, so we're kind of split on how people feel about it and how people like the show and if they were surprised. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, we should have Nerd Theory tonight. Okay, let's kind of get into then, you know, my thoughts on House of the Dragons. So the thing about House of the Dragons is, I mean, it's the whole narrative, the whole story is, will fans embrace this show? Okay, because Game of Thrones, you know, I don't know if it like struck fire right away. I know a lot of people really like those first couple of seasons, but like it kind of snowballed into becoming the biggest show on the planet. At the time, like I would say like season 4, 5, 6, and even 7, you know, and 8. Was it 8 seasons? Did they do 8 seasons? I don't even remember because I kind of checked out so much from the end of it. But that show was without a doubt the biggest show on the planet. Like it far eclipsed anything else that was going on there. Yeah, it was season 8 where it all fell apart. Okay, cool. So that show was the biggest, greatest show of all time. It had captured so many normies. I don't know if you guys have this kind of experience, but for me personally, I've never had more actual in-person watch parties than I did with Game of Thrones. And this would be when I, way back in the day, even in like seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5, we would all get together and watch it. And then even in the later seasons, I remember everybody at work, man, we would have like 6 or 7 people get together and legitimately sit in a living room and watch this show together. It was like wild what the show became. It was a experience, you know, like very similar to where I would say like Infinity War and Endgame were at, right? Like Infinity War and Endgame, and especially like the road to Endgame was this cultural thing, man. It felt like the whole planet was like waiting, speculating, getting hyped up, getting excited, and then all experiencing it together, and it was amazing. Game of Thrones was that. By the way, little side note about Game of Thrones, little side note about it. Leak culture comes from Game of Thrones. The leak culture that we have now about, you know, Marvel leaks, DC leaks, all these different leaks, right? That started with Game of Thrones. It started with Game of Thrones because Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, there were so many theories Okay, so much speculation wrapped up in the lore of Game of Thrones. It sort of created this hunger to figure out what was going on. And that, I believe it was even started in season 5, where full plot leaks started coming out like early, like mad early. And people would be like, what? No way, blah, 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 blah. And then it started like actually becoming real. So like Game of Thrones it was very significant to pop culture, changed a lot of different things, okay? Now, having said all of that, we know how it ended, right? And I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about the actual fandom in that big cultural event. I don't know if I've ever seen another show, property, movie, IP, franchise, whatever. I don't know if I've ever seen one before that came to a place that was so universally hated. Maybe Rise of Skywalker. The only reason maybe I don't think Rise of Skywalker was quite as bad of a letdown or quite as much of a bummer is because we were coming off the heels of The Last Jedi, so that things were already kind of broken. But Thrones was, again, the biggest, craziest show. People loved it. It was amazing. And then the ending was, like, so bad, dude. Like, I am sure there are a few contrarian folks out there. Lost is a good example, Mark, as well. But I think that Game of Thrones was just so much bigger, and the internet, social media, all these other factors make it so much bigger. Game of Thrones, I'm sure there are some people out there that actually were like, no, it's not too bad, like season 8 or whatever. But, bro, I'm telling you, the vast majority of folks hated, despised, were disgusted by the final season of Game of Thrones. Okay? It's wild. And so the question is, can this franchise, can this IP come back from that? Okay? And I think it's an uphill battle. No matter what, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And I don't know if we have any numbers as far as how many people watched the show last night. I don't know if we have a consensus among fans, Game of Thrones fans, and normies as to how they feel about the show. I personally know many people that either are reluctant to give the show a chance or will never give this show a chance. Put a 1 into the chat if you know some people like that. I would just like to know, because I have that personal experience of a lot of people that are like, nah, fam, not for me. No way. Not gonna check it out, right? So that, I think, HBO, and you can see people in the chat, also having that experience. So here's the thing, man. HBO and George, they have this uphill battle. And I gotta say, I'm actually kind of impressed with the marketing and the way that they are addressing that exact issue. Because if you look at what they've been talking about with this show, they've been low-key throwing some shade at Dan and Dave, and they've also been trying to differentiate or basically say, like, this is going to be different than before. Because George is involved the whole way through. Miguel Sapochnik, wow, what a fucking talent, Miguel. I mean, if you're a real Game of Thrones head, like, you know who Miguel is. He directed some of the most incredible episodes that the show ever did. Battle of the Bastards, the Hard Home episode. Like, dude, literally just an absolute stud, right? So Miguel Sapochnik is brought in as, I think, essentially like a showrunner, so to speak. There's a different showrunner that's like with George. I'm blanking on that dude's name. I think it's like Dan something or whatever. But Miguel, and getting him involved, very, very key. And also the way that they're marketing it and using George and sort of low-key throwing some shade at Dan and Dave, I think it's a very good strategy. I found myself... How can he pronounce that name? He can't pronounce water. Jedi Mike, it's a mystery, okay? It's the Force here. Oh, man, the car. People are calling me about the car. I'll have to call them back, I'm in the middle of I'm talking fucking Game of Thrones here. Anyway... So, I'm impressed with the marketing, and I found myself at a personal place where I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. And I actually didn't know that was going to be the case until like a couple of days ago. Some YouTube videos were popping up, people talking about the lore. By the way, did you know George refers to this show as Hot D? I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, I'll try out some Hot D. What's up with Hot D? And so I started looking into it a little bit more. I started getting a little bit excited. I found myself at a place where I was like, at the end of the day, I love dragons. Y'all ever heard of dragons? We're actually going to talk about a couple dragons today. We're going to talk about all the dragons in the House of Dragons, and then we're going to talk about the dragon in Dragon Ball Z Superhero. It's pretty cool. I'm a fan of dragons. So I was like, fuck it, dude, let's check it out. And I got to tell you, I was pleasantly surprised at what was given to us. Okay? It's not a perfect episode. I think there's a couple of criticisms that you can make about the episode. But I felt like, and I don't know if you guys had this experience either, but I felt like the first 20 minutes of watching that show was kind of like checking it out. Kicking the tires, looking under the hood. I want to go back and watch the episode again because I don't even know if I enjoyed the first part of the show. I'm so traumatized by King Bran that I'm like, dude, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And so I'm like checking it out. I'm trying to make sure everything's chill. And I think that the episode delivers an incredible start to this show, something very promising. It sets up character. Okay, now you have some fun dragon stuff, you have some fun action, but at the end of the day, it establishes character. And though initially, like when you first come in on, the council and they're all talking at court, you don't have a strong ability or a connection to any of the characters. They do a really good job of establishing that pretty quickly, establishing the conflict between different people. And by the end of the show, that small council, you get it. You get it. You understand the lines, the drama, and the political intrigue here, I think, is actually very solid. I think, too, the core conflict, which I believe will be Rhaenyra, I think is her name, right? Correct me, chat. I think it's Rhaenyra and Daemon Targaryen. The central conflict between, I think, what's going to end up being mostly those two is so well set up and so well established that I'm here for it. By the way, weird sexual tension between them adds another interesting element to the mix, but is essentially about line of succession and perhaps the first queen to sit on the Iron Throne. And it's honestly really, really intriguing. And a lot of the side characters, like the Hand of the King guy, the Valyrian dude and his wife that should have been queen, there's like a lot of intrigue, man. And so I walked away kind of being pleasantly surprised with the show, thinking, man, this is a really nice start, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. And so I'm interested. I want to see, where does it go from here? And also, too, will fans start to spread good word of mouth? I think there's going to be many Game of Thrones fans that will not check this out until and unless one of their friends that joined them on those watch parties back in the day, people would make like literally Game of Thrones themed drinks and snacks and shit. It was crazy, And so if a friend from back then tells the person, oh, you've got to check it out. No. It's good. This could be the new way. Then you could see a lot of fans coming around. I'm going to be really curious as to how the numbers trickle in. What's going on? How are the fans responding to this? And so, hey, look, I don't know if this will be the case or not, but if the show picks up in popularity, I'd be down to talk about it every Monday and to do more of like a spoiler stream for that while the show is running, at least here on the streaming channel. I don't really know. It would have to, I think, win a lot of normies back and become a pretty big show in order for, I think, a lot of our, audience to be really into it. Because, I'm not even really getting into the show right now. Like, I'm not talking spoilers. I'm not really going that deep on it. We're talking more about just the context of the show, the sort of cultural place that this IP is at. But I'd be down to go deep, man. I'd be down to go deep and get super nerdy on this stuff because I think it's pretty fun. I thought it was a good start, and we'll see where it goes from here. So, That's kind of where we're at. I'm curious, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you agree that it's going to kind of take time for fans to come around on this? Yeah. I don't feel as excited since most people know the ending of House of the Dragon. That's an interesting side to it, actually, right? So, like, this is an established ending. And you might say, like, okay, well, damn, like, that kind of takes the joy out of it. However, depending on how that's spaced and what little differences, because my understanding of the book, and I have not read the book, but we can go deep, right? My understanding of the book is that it is a sort of, it's like a textbook almost. And it lays out things that happen, certain things in a vague way, certain things very clear. And then aren't there also multiple narratives? And so the narratives that are explained in the book, I believe one was given by a gesture that embellished, and one was given by maybe a maester that was more straightforward. The truth of what happened could be explored in the show and could differ from what happens in the book, so to speak. And I also think, too, maybe this is good, because if there's a complete ending and there's a total thing going on here, then we don't have to worry about, like, people like Dan and Dave coming in and going crazy. You know what I mean? And screwing it up, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of my rebuttal to your feelings on that. And not that I want to change how you feel, but I think I just feel a little bit differently. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. And, while we're talking about this, and I think that when does Rings of Power come out? Pretty soon? When does Rings of Power come out? It's like in the next couple of weeks, right? Maybe next week? Bring back Dan and Dave? Oh, God, no. Yeah, oh, God, no. September 1st. Who cares? Who cares? Says Gorilla. I mean, I'm kind of there with you. I don't know. Like, don't even go there, Josh. Oh, well, hang on, because I got to adjust this thing real quick, and then we're doing it. Okay, we're back. Oh, let's go there. Let's go there when it comes to Rings of Power. Do you think because like the way I mean, obviously Rings of Power, there's been a little bit of drama. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you know. There's a little bit of drama when it comes to Rings of Power. Do you think that it could be that Rings of Power just gets totally shit on, but that somewhat allows House of the Dragon to become, like, I don't know, like, perceived as better? Because these shows do sort of compete a little bit for the same kind of audience, right? The shows compete for the same kind of audience. I think that it's probably literally the case, as much as maybe Tolkien fans would freak out at me saying this. I actually think that both IPs are about at the same level as, I almost want to say, like, global penetration, pause. But you know what I'm saying, like penetration into the normies and into pop culture. I know that Tolkien fans would probably curse me up and down for that, but I just think that it would completely underestimate how big Game of Thrones actually